I mean, I would say as diplomats as a whole, probably have one of the biggest influences in the hip hop history. They, not saying the biggest, but one of the biggest influence. You know what I mean? Like one of the biggest influences. Period. From across so many levels. You know what I mean? Fashion being one of the major, and music being the other. But
Once more, Grandpa Jim Jones is outside. And my goodness, this man is currently in a different universe. The things he said had people are gripping their phones in shock. He appeared on Art of Dialogue, speaking as though he were the greatest person to ever breathe on a microphone and acting as though the rap game still revolved around him. The misconception surpasses the overwhelming confidence he exudes. Jim was acting like he was a cross between Jay-Z, Tupac, and Jeff Bezos, using Hobbs' bars and Bill Gates' money. Seeing how he handled himself was insane. You would believe that last week he released a diamond-certified masterpiece, even though online admirers were already giving the entire situation the side eye. The man nevertheless exuded that untouchable spirit. Now, don't misunderstand. This isn't a hate speech by Jim Jones. He deserves praise for being honest about one important point. He proudly claimed to have contributed to the rock star image's introduction into hip-hop.
we've done so many things in hip hop culture, and put so many and put so many things into hip hop culture. You know what I mean? That's still rocking today. You know what I mean? And there are a lot of legends and things like that, but they don't have as many contributions as we have to the actual culture. You know what I mean?
He had an impact on the entire wave, particularly Lil Wayne's Full Style at the time. About the middle of the 2000s, and he isn't lying when you look back. It's obvious that Jim was wearing chrome hearts and that edgy designer style in 2006 before the majority of rappers were even aware of it. Jim was the first to adopt that flamboyant rebel look, and everyone else adopted it. It's among the few times during that interview when he truly spoke the truth. The entire swagger of New York is a direct result of Jim Jones's DNA. There's no argument over it. Rappers like Lil Yachty, A$AP Rocky, and even Kanye are examples of his impact. Indeed, Kanye, without even realizing it, they all appropriated items from the Jim Jones dress template. Jim was more than simply a clothesman. He established fashions. He created a rebellious designer mood that seemed to come naturally to him. Jim has that special touch when it comes to style. "I'm the Tupac of fashion and hip-hop," he could remark with ease. To be honest, no one could really contest it. Before it was even popular, he made it fashionable for rappers to combine streetwear with luxury. However, Jim's transition from discussing fashion to discussing rap domination is when the issue begins. Things quickly get unstable at that point. He begins to act as though he is the most well-known rapper of his generation during the interview. The top dog, not one of them. He speaks as though he had the greats, charts, awards, and illustrious catalog.
10, 20 million records is a hell of a, you dig? But besides that, a lot of artists don't really have no real contribution. Like, you can't talk about things that you remember for them doing, or remember them making you want to do and shit like that. It's not too many people like that, besides them having great music that we love. Yeah, like in a big way, like how Run DMC bring Adidas to hip hop. Like, these are things that you can remember. Like, it's not too many people that really bring something to hip hop like that you remember. And there's plenty of people who got sneakers deals, but that shit don't hit. It's not something you remember. You heard, like Adidas, Kanye brings sneakers to the game. You remember that shit. Like, that's a heavy contribution.
The delusion begins to set in at that point. Jim courageously began his art of talking sit-down, criticizing other rappers from his time as though he were the sole proprietor of the early 2000s scene. It was a combination of sheer fantasy and wild confidence. Let's examine the facts and contrast him with the actual heavyweights of that era. When the truth is revealed, those assertions seem even more absurd. Let's go straight back to the former home of Jim Jones, the city that is meant to proudly shout. His name is New York City, the place where he was raised. However, it seems like instead of saluting him, the locals are now giving him the side eye. Jim has been feeling disrespected both in person and online, as evidenced by the manner he has been speaking lately, which seems to be an attempt to prove a point. Jim compared himself to Nas, Jay-Z, Eminem, and 50 Cent in his most recent interview. And that's crazy. That is a lineup for Mount Rushmore. Additionally, you should have a discography to support your decision to be surrounded by such legends. Let's be honest though, whenever Jim's name is mentioned with Nas or Have, people begin to laugh before they can even answer. For someone who has played the game this long, that must hurt a lot. It makes sense that he is acting as though the world has been unaware of his greatness.
We way past a trend, or we way past a fad. Our shit sticks, as you can see, 20-some years later. So for anybody to say that we were just a trend, I guess they don't know what a trend is. You heard? We are a religion right now when it comes to this type of shit. Like, and not to say no blasphemy or nothing like that, but like we said a lot of shit that's still moving today.
Then Jim stepped it up. He launched into a tirade, claiming that no rapper from his generation or class could ever compare to him in 2025. He claimed that no one could equal his grind, his money, or his bars. He acts like he's out here doing Drake numbers while claiming to be running circles around the competition. Jim even gave the impression that he was selling 100,000 copies of his CD in the first week. But the data actually shows quite the opposite. His previous project didn't even make it to the charts because it sold so few copies. Not rated, not ranked, and not even acknowledged. To truly appreciate how low it dropped, you had to sift through the streaming statistics. And the notion that rappers are afraid to oppose him. That's pure comedy. Come on. We all witnessed it in real time and without editing. During that versus match, Jadakiss washed Jim Jones and Dipset. Furthermore, it wasn't even close. Jada not only prevailed, but she ruled the stage as everyone on the planet watched in real time. Hip-hop stopped and said, damn, the energy, the delivery, the bars. At one point, Jim appeared totally disoriented as he tried to keep up with Jada, who had everything under control. It wasn't a win, let's face it. It was a complete national disgrace. The emotions, memes, and replay videos continue to circulate like a constant reminder of how awful that evening was. Thus, prior to Jim discussing competing with icons such as Nas, Jay-Z, Eminem, 50 Cent, or even Lil Wayne.
Jose NY, Rocket DKNY, like Andy DC, before that, like you dig, like you can't, that's big.
Given that the legislation is still in effect years later, perhaps he might begin by truly exacting retribution on Jadakiss. Additionally, I have to know who Jim is referring to when he says his era. You would believe that he is out-rapping, out-working, and out-earning everyone from his time based on the way he speaks. However, the calculations simply don't add up. Nez's King's Disease just earned her a Grammy. Wayne continues to be among the most streamed rappers in existence. The internet goes down when Eminem releases a verse. And at 50, he's too preoccupied with making millions upon millions from his TV business. The true icons of Jim's time, all of those names have outperformed him in terms of longevity, skill, and respect. In 2025, even videos from the same generation continue to garner significant attention due to their more eloquent lyrics and increased respect. Jim, you must give up your desire to be the best. It is not even located in the same galaxy as the real world. In 2025, Jim doesn't even have more money than Cameron, if we're being completely honest. The crazy aspect is that Jim isn't even his own cruise leader.
Pac was very influential. He had a lot of style to him and shit like that. Like, I took a couple pages from Pac book when it comes to style and shit. Like, Pac was the first thing I seen rocking the dope Versace belts with the dungaree suits and all that shit. Like, he had a lot of shit that I admired and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest. Cameron has consistently served as Dipset's spokesperson. People cite this because of its voice and personality. Jim is not the most successful member of his own team, despite the fact that he has had his moments, and he knows it in his heart. That is what adds to the craziness of all this noisy conversation. Clips, meanwhile, is still going strong like they never left, delivering hits, selling nearly 100,000 copies in their first week, and dominating the Apple Music charts. On the charts, they even overtook up-and-coming performers like Jackboy. The figures are honest. Clips still had that attraction. Jim, however, is out there attempting to convince everyone that he is leading his era as no one else from his time is. While they are eating, that is just fantasy. To be fair, no one is accusing Jim of being broke. He is undoubtedly doing well in comparison to the typical individual. However, when compared to his real peers, he is obviously lagging behind and not at the forefront. And it appears worse the more he emphasizes these "I'm the best" statements. Every time he speaks, actual comparisons are made by others. And Jim fails at the end of each and every one of them.
I mean, when we was in the project, that shit didn't really matter like that to us. You know, like we going with like not saying it didn't matter like that to us, but we didn't take it to you dig. Like most of the kids in the projects from where I'm from were really fucking with pop because we was all gangbanging and shit like that. But Big was a staple of the city. We all knew Big music. You heard like